Guys, oh man. Another loss for the Detroit Tigers. Back-to-back losses against this Cleveland Guardians team that has just had the Tigers' number this season. Now the Tigers have a losing record against the Guardians, and even so, it just feels like every time they play this team, it's going to come down to the ninth inning. It's going to come down to one team that ends up getting a clutch hit. Game's going to be close. I mean, I know yesterday ends up being a pretty big loss, but man, it was close right and down until the very end, and you have this Bo Naylor, a bloop single that ends up scoring a couple runs. Look, the Tigers still have a 95% chance to win the division. But what that number doesn't take into consideration from Fangraphs is this team's just not playing very good baseball right now. They're just not. Last 60 days, under 500. Last 30 days, under 500. Those are numbers I told you yesterday, but they remain true today because, well, they can't pick up a win. They've lost 5 of their last 6 games, and now they have just a 4.5 game lead in the division. It's 10 games to go? 9 games to go. So this is 10 games to go. This is getting kind of scary if you're a Tigers fan. I'm not saying it's over. They're not going to, they're going to blow it, but I am a little bit worried about it because yesterday was the first time I was watching this Detroit Tigers team and thinking to myself, I don't think they're going to win today. It just kind of felt like even with Jack Flaherty having a nice outing, if you'd have told me Flaherty has a good outing, I would say odds are you probably end up picking up a win. But the offense just disappeared yesterday. And it felt like, once the Guardians had that 2-0 lead, sometime in the 6th inning, I just looked at the TV and said, they just don't have it today, which is the complete opposite of the way that this team has been engraved into my head the last calendar year. It always felt like they had a chance to pull something out. Even when they've been losing the whole game, they'd walk a batter in the 8th, they'd hit a double, hit by pitch, and all of a sudden 1 hit away, and you tie the game up. But that hasn't been the case here for 2 months. I mean, in the past 60 days, 15th in home runs, 15th in runs, 6th in strikeouts, 15th in OPS, 13th in average, and 22nd in walks. This just hasn't been an above-average baseball team for 2 months now, and I feel like that's a large enough sample size to kind of sit here and say I just don't have a ton of confidence in the Tigers right now. Again, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm predicting them to blow the division, but I don't feel all that great saying, look, don't worry, 4.5 game lead, 10 to go. I'm still a little bit worried about actually grabbing a hold of this thing, especially because you've got another game against Cleveland today. Thank God Tarek Skubal's on the mound. But even with Casey Mize and Jack Flaherty having good outings, they've lost the first 2 games. Then you're going to have to play Cleveland again next week. And again, they've just had the Tigers' number here. It's not a team you necessarily feel comfortable against. So let's say the Tigers get through Atlanta, even if they take 2 of 3, Cleveland's going to have a chance, if they can take care of business against Minnesota, Cleveland's going to have a chance to get themselves right back into this thing, and then it's probably going to come down to that last series of the year. The Tigers are going to be facing Boston, and the Guardians are going to be facing the Texas Rangers. And you're just kind of going to have to sit there and cross your fingers because odds are Boston and Texas are both playing for something down the stretch. It's become not infuriating. I'm not angry with this Tigers team, but it's disappointing because you hear A.J. Hinch after the game, you hear Riley Green after the game saying, we don't feel any sort of pressure. We're just playing baseball at the end of the day. How can you not feel a little bit of pressure, though? You guys do realize you had a double-digit lead in this division nearly the entire season. You are in first place in this division for the better part of the last 4 months. Yet somehow, as we're getting down to the last stretch of the season, with 2 weeks left, there's a real threat named the Cleveland Guardians that are knocking on the door attempting to steal your lunch money. If the Tigers were to blow this division, not only would I have zero confidence going into a playoff series as a wild card team, but it'd be one of the worst blown division leads in Major League Baseball history. To hold the division for that long and blow it to this Cleveland team, who you just can't beat despite them being ranked 29th in OPS across the league, that would be devastating not only for the Detroit Tigers, but for the fans as well. And we can sit here and blame Scott Harris for not going after guys at the deadline. The problem hasn't even been pitching as of late. It's just been the offense. I mean, I just ripped through all those numbers. They're an average offense. And honestly, Kyle, I can't help but to think like, it would be helpful. I really don't even want to say it.
Oh, we're not doing this, right?
I'll hold off. I don't want to say it.
Yeah.
But I did think it last night, so I am going to say it. Alex Bregman would be pretty helpful right here. I'm just saying, he would be. To have a guy with the 272 OPS, it stabilized the lineup because right now they're very average.
Yeah, last night was a bit of a chess match between Stephen Vogt and A.J. Hinch, and that's kind of been the story between these two managers every time they face off. The lack of urgency is the part that I think is the most alarming. I don't know if alarming is the word, just concerning from a Tigers fan perspective, because obviously, you don't want A.J. Hinch to go to the post-game presser and be like, we are so scared of the Guardians. Like, we are terrified that we're going to blow this lead. Like, obviously, you don't want him to say that, and he's never going to say that.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like a little bit of – it'd be different if you weren't playing Cleveland. If they were just playing hot baseball and the Tigers were still doing their thing, playing other teams, like, yeah, I understand the perspective of we're not worried about what Cleveland is doing. We got to worry about us. I totally get that. You're literally playing the team, though, that is sneaking up on you. And
the team that's won 11 of their last 12 games.
Right. And losing to that team as well. And it's also the team that kicked you out of the playoffs last year. Like, the fact that there isn't really a little bit of edge being shown by this group, that this should be their clear rival. And then when you look on the flip side for Cleveland, their ace in Gavin Williams was supposed to go today against Tarek Skubal. They move him up a day in the rotation to pitch him against Jack Flaherty, because why would you want to take advantage of, you want to keep this win streak going. It was a brilliant move from the Guardians to move Gavin Williams up. And now, in a start against Tarek Skubal, where most teams are going to just chalk that up as a loss, if you're the Guardians, you can afford to do that because you've won 11 of 12 and you've already taken this series. So there's a clear urgency coming from Cleveland, which makes sense because they're currently outside of the playoffs. So obviously they're not desperate, but they're going to do more willingly things to get wins than the Tigers are. But Detroit right now is just on cruise control when they really shouldn't be.
No, this is the time of the season you should be kicking things into high gear, playing your best baseball. A.J. Hinch should be managing this series and the next few like it is a postseason, just to kind of get accoladed to how they're going to be playing. You don't want to have games where you get shut out when there is some, pressure on this team. Although, again, A.J. Hinch says there's zero pressure on them, which I just think is a little bit absurd. It'd be one thing, for you to say we don't feel any pressure, but we got to kick things up into high gear. He's just flat out saying we don't feel any pressure on ourselves whatsoever. It's like, you can acknowledge that we need to play better. You can acknowledge that, hey man, we're not playing our best baseball right now. We got to kick ourselves in the butt a little bit and make sure that we're ready to go come October, because that's right around the corner and you still have not locked up this division yet. It feels like, cruise control is the best way to put it. They got comfortable at the top, and for 60 days they've been a 500 baseball club.
Yeah, they're on cruise control in the middle of the city right now, when you clearly are going to have to stop and turn it off a few different times. And they think they're on the freeway, and clearly that's not the case currently. They were a while back, but Cleveland's playing so well that it makes you nervous, especially when you have to play them 3 more times at their place next. There's no reason why any Tigers fan at this point shouldn't be nervous. I still think that it's fine to be willing to think they're going to win the division because, like you said, 95% chance?
Yeah, the math says it's the Tigers, but
it's still 4.5
Tigers
games at the end of the day.
They're not playing very good right now.
Right.
Cleveland's the hottest team in baseball.
Yeah.
So that's the part that concerns me. To say that you're not concerned at all, I almost think is crazy. At this point, I don't know who's confident in the Tigers right now. That's the scariest part. I don't know how you can make an argument that you're confident in the Tigers other than, hey, Tarek Skubal's on the mound tonight. He's been a Guardians killer for a couple of years, specifically this season. So let's just go pick up a win, get it back to 5.5, and you should feel okay, throughout the weekend, unless you lose another series. But they've lost 5 of their last 6 games. This hasn't been a great team.
And this isn't really the typical Tarek Skubal start, get us out of a jam, let's get things back on track with Skubal today.
No, for the first time, we need Tarek Skubal.
And he's coming off of a start where he left the game due to injury. So it's the added pressure plus that, where it's something that hasn't happened all year. I don't really love the spot for Skubal today, if I'm being honest.
I think Tarek Skubal comes out angry.
I
you know
hope
how
so.
we see the one bad call or he walks someone and he just starts getting real upset with everybody. I think he walks out onto the mound like that tonight. Just angry. Angry that he only got 45 pitches in his last outing. Angry that he gave up 4 pitches in his last outing. Angry that he's looking around watching this Tigers team fall apart and that they haven't been able to pick up a win against his least favorite team. Angry that Cleveland's creeping up on them in the playoffs. I think he comes out and is just guns a-blazing, try to hit my best stuff right away with this Guardians team. And he's going to make them look like a below-average offense because that's what they have been all season long.
Yeah.
They have two people in their lineup. 2 people in their lineup in Ramirez and Kwan who are hitting above 240. Everyone else is sub 240. It's not a great team, but they're figuring out ways to get wins. It's very, very reminiscent of last year's Tigers team. They don't have a lot of stars. I mean, Kwan and Ramirez are stars, don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
but outside of that,
stars, yeah.
They don't have a lot of guys. They're just figuring it out. They're piecing it together. Bo Naylor with a bloop single to kind of ice the game yesterday. Like, it's that kind of stuff that the Guardians are finding ways to win games. Very reminiscent of the 2024 Tigers. 989-837-6125. Where's your worry scale with this Detroit Tigers team? Let us know in the YouTube. You guys